Hello everybody. I'd like to cover today how to learn CSS in very quick amount of time. So before we start developing our web page using CSS, first of all, let's take a look at the layout that we're gonna follow. So it's a good principle to define the layout of the web page that you are trying to develop. From there on, we just follow the layout and move on from there. So let's take a look at the layout I have developed in MS Word. So first we have an entire layout. So the entire body layout, we call it container, is a div, and the color of the layout is going to be white. Then inside that body container, we'll have three different containers. The first container is header, and we're gonna color it blue. Then the content section, and the final section is the footer section. We're gonna color it gray. The entire body of the HTML page, we're gonna color it gray. Then the size of this entire container is going to be 800 pixel. The gap from the border of this container and the content header and footer is going to be 10 pixel. And inside the content, the navigation section is going to be 180 pixel, and the home page section is going to be 600 pixel. All right then, so let's start developing our web page using CSS. So I have created two files already. So the first file I named it index.html. So in web development world, any homepage you develop, the name followed this principle, index. Then another file, we name it style.css, where we're gonna define all our CSS style. All right, so the first thing first, we're gonna define the doc type, and we have learned the type of HTML. So we are using HTML5. We define the doc type. Then we define the HTML tag, open and close section. Then we'll have a head section. Inside the head section, we have title. So title, name it my website. That's it. After head, we'll have body. Inside body, we have one div that contains everything, which called container. So define the first div. The name of the div, we'll define an ID property called container. Inside the container, we have three different div. The first div, we have ID. So define the property, headers, I'm sorry. Headers. Then the next div, we have content. Let's define the ID property. Content. And the final div is footer. Define the ID. Footers. Inside content, we have two more div. The first one, we have navigation. Let's define the ID. We have another div. We can we call the div is main. All right. So in the header, let's give a header of our web page. So in header 1, I'm going to define is my website. So inside the navigation, or we can name it nav actually. So inside the nav, let's define another header called navigation. Then inside the navigation, we're gonna list it out the link of the other page is a unordered list. So you will use the UL tag, then the list item. So the list item. So the first is we're gonna define a link, then href property is empty, and the name of the link we can give home. So copy and paste this information. So inside the list item, we are defining a link, and the name of the link is home. Let's, for the time being, we define 3 links. So home, about, contact. We're gonna define another class property inside the first link, home, so that we know we are in the home page. So we can define a class property. And value we can give selected, so that we know this home is, we are on the home page. Okay, so now let's go to the main section. So we define another header, this in different font. So let's say type home page. We can add some information into our home page, just few paragraphs. That's pretty much. And last but not least, we can add the copyright section. Is 2020 QA tag solutions. All right, that's pretty much. Let's save it, refresh the page. Here we go. Is home, about, contact. So now I'm trying to explain what is the importance of CSS here. As you see here, this web page we have developed just using plain HTML. So it doesn't have any color, it doesn't have any good font, it's not categorized in a way that we want to. If we try to follow the layout, that's why we develop the layout. So it's not following the layout however we want the information. That's why we need the CSS. So I have created here style.css file. So over there, we're going to start defining the layout of the style of the page. The first thing first, the HTML tag, we're going to use body. So in the body, as per the layout, we want the body color is gray. So background color is gray. So let's define the background color is gray. So either you can type the color by yourself, or you can put the hexadecimal format, hexadecimal number. So if you don't know really the hexadecimal number, you need to Google it. So you can Google it, or if you have a better IDE, basically it gives you the intelligence. The intelligence just popped up, and you can simply choose. So here the E, I want that color which is representing gray. Then I want to define the font of my web page. I would like to use Korean New. So list of font you define. So the ultimate purpose of defining multiple fonts is if that first font is not available, it goes to the next font. If that is not available, it goes to the last font. So that's why you group together a few fonts so that if one is not available, it goes to the next one. Done. So now we're gonna link the CSS with our HTML page. So we simply go to the head tag. Inside there is a called link tag. So link tag, we define the attribute, we define the property rel. The value is style sheet. Then type attribute is text/CSS. The final is the file location. So using the href property, we can add the file location. Since my file is in the same directory, so just simply type the file name .css. All right, so we link the CSS file with our HTML. So now test it out. How does it look? As you see, the color of the background has been changed, and the font also been changed. Okay, so now let's follow our layout. The first thing we're gonna tackle is headers. The background color we want blue, so let's define that. So headers, we define the ID. So if you define the ID, you need to put a pound sign before the headers, pound or hash sign before the headers, before the name of that ID, so that CSS knows you are trying to add information for a ID of a div. So what do you want? We want the background color is blue, so let's call that attribute background color. We want blue. I know the hexadecimal value for the blue that I'm looking for. Another important principle that I would like to share, that whenever you define an attribute for a particular tag or ID, after defining the value, make sure you ended up with semicolon. If you don't, then it's gonna throw up an error. It's not a valid CSS file. All right, we define the background color, then we're gonna define the text color. So it's the attribute called color. You can simply choose white. Then we want the text alignment is center. So let's type text align center. And we want to put a space, maintain a space between the header and the rest of the div. So we can use the property called padding. It's 10 pixel. All right, so let's go to the page. Here we go. So change the color, the background color, text color, and the padding we are not seeing right now, but we're gonna realize later. Okay. The next section we are looking for is the content section. So, okay, the next thing we are looking for the container, the inter container. So we define the header. So in the inter container, we say the background color is going to be white. The width of the container is 800 pixel. Then we're gonna align to in a right position. All right, so let's do that in the upper level. Actually, we follow the sequence. So the name we define, let's see, is container. So we're gonna use this information. The ID is container. So the container, we want the background color is white. The width attribute is 800 pixel. Then we have a margin alignment, make sure it's center. So margin left, we can put simply auto, it's automatically adjust. Margin right, value is auto. Let's save it and test it out. The container, which is all the outside information. Here we go. So as you see, it changes the color, the container, and all my information inside the container ID. Okay, so the next section, as per the layout, we're gonna see the content. So the content we need to define. So this content has a 10 megapixel padding from the upper div and the bottom div. So we're gonna add another padding for the content. Padding is 10 pixel. Let's save it and check this out. As you see, the spacing has been changed. Now let's, inside the content, we have navigation. So let's first handle navigation. So what are you going to define? The width of the navigation and the listed item. The color of the item, the color of the link we can also define. So let's nav, the name of the ID. So width is 180. All right. So another information I like to see now, as you see here, our navigation and homepage, as per the layout, we want the navigation is on the left side, the homepage is going to be there on the right side. But at present, our homepage and navigation is not next to each other. So there is another attribute called floating. So it means it will define you where you want that particular section. So I want the nav section to be on the left side of my on the left side, left to the is gonna be so it's gonna be left to the content. So we have a, so as you see here, the nav section is inside the content. So where do you want this nav section? We want this nav section on the left side next to the content. Okay, so then define the main section. Main. Same, we define the width first. So the width of the main section is 600 pixel. And the float I want this to be right side. Okay, so save it and refresh the page. Okay, as you see, this, but it came out outside of our border line. We're gonna fix this. So now let's fix the footer section. The footers we want at the bottom of the page. So let's define footers ID. So first thing first, the footer we want to show in the bottom. So now there is the attribute called clear. The value we're going to put both. So what does it mean? So it means that we want to clear out the floating in order to display this particular value. So whatever floating value we have earlier, we're going to clear that out, then make sure it display after clearing out those floating information. All right. Then we're going to define the padding is 10 pixel. Then what color do you want the footer? Okay, footer you want gray color, and we have a text color. So let's define the gray color, the background color. So background color, one gray shade. So the hexadecimal value I remember is 9999. It's deep gray. So the color I want, text color I want is white. Then alignment I want to be on the text alignment, I want to be in the right side of the screen. Okay, let's save it and test it out. Here we go. So our footer is now displayed in the right position, however we want to. All right, now let's work out with the navigation item. So we define a navigation class called selected. We want to make it bold so that we know that we are on the home page. So we have a tag. So first here, navigation. So let's define the name of the so first the ID of that particular div, space dot selected. So for ID we use hash sign or pound sign, and for class property we use dot sign. So basically what we are trying to say, so let's first go to the navigation ID, then go to the selected class, or we can simply remove the nav and define selected. But it's a good practice. So if you have your class can be a class can be duplicate name, but ID always unique. So it's always a good practice. So you define first the ID, the div ID, and the div class, so that even though if you have another class name called selected, there shouldn't be any issue because it's already unique. So we want the font is bold. So we define the font weight is bold. Let's check it out. As you see, it's been bold. Now the next thing we want to do, we want to remove these bullet sign, and we want to make the color of the link is red. So let's try that out. So our link tag in HTML called A. So just simply type A. So what we want, the text decoration, in order to remove in order to define any bullet symbol or remove any bullet symbol, we're going to use the text decoration. So text decoration value we're gonna type is none. So there will be no bullet. And we said we're gonna change the color of the text of the link is to red. So you can write red. Okay, let's refresh the page. Here we go. Okay, so okay. Text decoration none and color red. Okay, I need to, in order to remove the bullet, basically I need to work on the UL UL tag. So the UL tag basically inside the navigation. So this is any link we define. So this is a generic. So any link we define in this particular page, all the text color will be red and there will be no text decoration. But inside we have a navigation section. Inside the navigation section, we have a unordered list. Only for those particular unordered lists, we want to remove the bullet point. So that's why we first define the header, define the ID, which is nav. Then let's go to the tag inside that nav ID, which is called unordered list. So over there, list style type. This is the attribute we're gonna define, which is none. Let's save it, check it out. Here we go. This is good. If you don't want any space in between, you can also define that. You can remove the padding and set the padding value to 0. But it looks good so as of now, so it's kind of cleaner. Okay, so now there is a space between the header and there's a space between the all the header font that we define. If that is okay with you, you're still good to go. Okay, then I think we are pretty much done. So as you see, using the CSS, how we want to style our web page. So as per the layout, we kind of follow the layout. We have enter background color is gray, our header is background is blue, the text is white, our footer background is gray, the text is white, on the text alignment is right, here text alignment is the center. We have navigation section and homepage section, navigation section on the left side, homepage section on the right side. So that's pretty much. So another thing basically you want to see, so you can define the style.css here, or you can inject pretty much everything right inside index.html. So over there, instead of link, you're going to define actually the style tag. Okay, so is a self-closing tag, so look at that. So now if you want to define right inside the HTML, you also can do that. So use the style. Over there, you can define the background color. So you can have a, let's say, so let's background color. So you have a header, my website. So you want to change, so define the style here and put the ID headers, and the same thing whatever we have done in the style.css, you can simply do that. So background color, you can define blue, and text align, you can define center. So text color is white. So you can do this way, or you can default the style sheet and everything you maintain over there. So the good principle, good practice is you define the style.css. As you see here now, it's this page is growing bigger and bigger. We don't want that. We want to keep the HTML page as simple as we can, and the style page we're gonna design and develop so that any modification needed to do, we just simply go to the style page, and that's pretty much. So thanks a lot again. So it's a very quick amount of time we learn how to style a web page so that it really graphically representable to the end user. And if you like my page, if you like my video, please give a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel so that you can keep in touch and up to date all the new latest tutorial that I'm going to upload in future. Again, have a nice one. Try yourself, practice yourself, develop your own web page and try to put the style however you want to. It will really help you down the line if you have a desire to become a web developer. Thanks again. Have a wonderful day. Bye.